has to get handled when you're under pressure, when there's uncertainty, when there's ambiguity. I think that that's of great interest these days, just given the fast changing and volatile world that we all live in.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Okay, few things that we know about problems is, number one, they have one solution minimum. Could be more than one, but there is no problem without solution. I mean, there are just a few, but they are just an exception of the rule. But if you have a problem, something you can be sure you have one, more than one solution. I think that the second point is how you approach this problem. And I think, Cherry, that you're 100% right. The put it in perspective, when you have a problem that is a big problem, break it down in a small problems. That's a very good way to because sometimes you have this problem that is big, but maybe it's big only in your head, right? If you break it down in small problems and you break it by sections, you will find out that maybe just big problem become a lot of little small problems, right? And those small problems, you can solve some of them really quickly, right?
Well, I think a lot of people just assume that they can start in the problem solving without actually taking that foundational step of framing the problem and breaking it down.
Can you describe framing, what that means? Tell us.
Yes, so I introduce in my area method this idea of the vision of success. Right? Many people start with the problem, but that's very confusing. Where do you look for good information? There's so many different ways that you could solve it, as you've mentioned. So what the vision of success invites you to do is to invert your problem solving and instead ask yourself this question: what has to happen in the outcome of the problem for me to know that I've arrived at a good solution? So now what this is asking you to do is to jump over the problem, time travel over it. If you can identify the 1, 2, or 3 things that if you don't solve them, the problem is actually going to fail for you, now you have an idea what to deeply and creatively research to actually arrive at that vision of success. And that inversion is very powerful. You can use it for small problems, but you can certainly use it for large and complex and high stakes problems as well.
The problem that we solve all the problem. This we teach a lot to our entrepreneurs in our conferences, because Sherry, sometimes, yeah, we become good at problem solving. As an entrepreneur, we have so many problems, but sometimes entrepreneurs, they get lost in translation with so many problems and a lot of problems adding up every single day or every single week. And they get overwhelmed with problems. And we have a concept that that we share always with our listeners, with our entrepreneurs, which is, if they can identify the problem, that if they can solve this one, all the rest of the problems for the company will be solved. So any advice or any suggestion to entrepreneurs that they know that out of all these problems, there is only one of them that they solve that one, all the rest of the problem we solve by themselves. How can they identify that problem?
I think what you're talking about is helping people to manage competing priorities and ultimately to prioritize. And that's what you need to do, because at any moment, a lot of things are vying for your attention. And it's up to you to figure out what your priorities are. If you can't figure out what your priorities are, then nothing is a priority. And so I think that is what it comes back to. And what I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is, they'll do a little bit of research, but then they actually don't go ahead and analyze their findings. So then they're going into their assumptions and their intuition, and they can be missing things. And this idea that everything has to be fast, well, actually, some things really just need to be accurate, right? So identifying what are those few things and really getting your priorities right and making sure that as you're trying to move quickly, that you're also moving carefully, right? That you actually are not just collecting information, but you're actually analyzing and synthesizing it so that when you make a decision, it's actually over. You don't have to revisit it. Because in this need for speed that people talk about with entrepreneurs, too often they're making a quick decision, they're only partially solving the problem, and therefore they haven't actually solved it and they need to revisit it.
Yeah, it's about finding the sweet spot because I'm on the side of testing and failing fast. This is I remember when my girlfriend goes through my first book. After she finished, she said, "Harry, if I had to rewrite this book again, I will put that your main characteristic is the speed of implementation, right? So when we're doing something, we really move really fast at the speed of lights. This brings no, there is this speed let us know quickly what is working, what is not working. However, sometimes too much speed is not good either. I'm telling you because I opened a restaurant once and I lost 200,000 pounds because I was so fast that I didn't analyze the market properly, and the restaurant was a total disaster. So I know that my speed no always work. You need to find the sweet spot in decision making because in one point, yes, if you go so fast and you test and it doesn't work, you can reiterate really fast. But on the other hand, if you jump into something without analyzing it properly, you might find after 2 years of your life and 200,000 this this decision was actually not good. So where is the sweet spot? Because this I can tell you in my experience as an entrepreneur that if we don't take decisions fast and the early of our startup career, we don't get anything done. That's a fact because starting a business you have to do a lot of things. You have to take a lot of decisions.
I think again it comes back to choosing wisely where you move fast, because
wow, that's a great answer. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take this one for me. I should do this more often myself. Things wisely where I move fast and where I know I usually move fast to everything.
That's right, because you're exactly right. Some things you don't really need to spend too much time on. You can move into action, and other things you can't. And I think again, it comes back to prioritization and differentiating between what is important and what is urgent and how those things overlap with one another.
I learned this one in the hard way, yeah. So tell us about your student, the student that you teach in the university, what they are studying.
They're studying high stakes decision making.
Oh, wow. That's like in a subject, like in a career.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is a topic in the university now.
Yeah. So
wow, what a great idea.
Yeah. So at Cornell, the course is called High Stakes. It's called Complex Decision Making. And at Columbia, depending on the course, it could have titles like Decision Making Amid Dilemma or Decision Making Under Pressure and so on. And I think that...
Wow, decision making under pressure. This is a good one. Yeah. This one I recommend to all the entrepreneurs.
Yes, I have a new article out in Harvard Business Review about decision making amid uncertainty. I think this idea of complex problem solving and how it sort of has to get handled when you're under pressure, when there's uncertainty, when there's ambiguity. I think that that's of great interest these days, just given the fast changing and volatile world that we all live in.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.